everyone. Welcome to the first meeting, to the first class. We will start this class with a parent meeting. So if you can grab your parents and we can get started with parent meeting. You are welcome to stay, but the first 15 minutes will be dedicated to your parents. Yeah, please, if your parents are not there, go get them so we can get started. So by the way, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yes.
Okay, great. All right. Okay, so let me reshare this slide so that I can play the audio from this slide. Yeah, this is for parents, but as I said, you are welcome to stay. All right.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the first parent meeting. In this meeting, I'm just going to quickly talk about some of the useful information to make sure that you're informed and that your child can be successful in XCamp. So the first thing to note is that there is some class information in the information tab. So if you're in the courseware for your course and you click on information, you'll be able to see some information such as the teacher, the class coordinator, link to the class, link to homework night, and other information like that. So please make sure that you know that under that tab, there's some helpful information. And then additionally, another place for helpful information is in the syllabus. Now, the syllabus is located in the course content for the class, and that just has an overview of the course content, along with some of the topics that are going to be taught in the class, and potentially even a introduction into what will be taught in the next class. Now, how do XCamp classes work? Well, currently we have all our classes conducted online in Zoom meetings, and the students are expected to have their webcams turned on in class, specifically with the camera facing their face so that we can see them. Now, all the students are encouraged to proactively engage in the class, and that's just through answering questions or participating in breakout room discussions, or participating in some coding practice, whether that's in discourse or separately assigned by the teacher. So there are lots of ways that students can participate during the class and are expected to participate. Now, after the class, students will be assigned a homework exercise, and those homework exercises are a little bit different than if you're used to completing your homework assignments at school. So usually with the homework assignments at school, they're a little bit quicker and there's probably more problems and it's a little bit easier to get full points, where the students are expected to get full points on their first try if they understood the course content. And I just want to tell you that with coding, that's not quite the case. Even if you understand the content, it really takes some time to practice it. And you should not have the expectation that you're always going to get 100% during the week on your very first try. We really value upsolving, and that's just this idea of once you've tried the problem, going back to see if you can try it again until you get your 100% on the question or 100% on your homework. Now, that often will be beyond just the week that you were expected to work on the homework. However, it is important to note that we will contact parents if the homework scores for a specific child is really low for 2 weeks. So if a student is failing to do their homework, or just solving a couple questions on the homework and really missing out on the bulk of it, that's when we will contact you and make sure that you are up to date and we can find some solutions to help your child. Now, we have a problem-solving process, and this is what we expect our students to follow. Now, they might choose to do so in a different way, but this is really what we recommend, which is first trying to read the problem carefully, maybe even a couple of times, trying out some sample input and output on paper to make sure you understand the question correctly and make sure you have the right idea. Then think about how to solve the problem using what you learned in class. The homework problems will always connect to what we learned in class, but maybe you just have to think back and think a little bit creatively. Additionally, you can watch the homework explanation video if you need. We have hint videos and solution videos to help you get through that process. Use a pencil and paper to outline your plan on how to solve the problem, depending on the problem's difficulty or how well you understand it. And then also code your solution, test with different cases. A lot of times the problems will just give you one test case. You definitely want to create your own test cases and see if they work as expected. And then finally submit your work. Okay, so let's go on to the next problem here, which is homework night. So homework night is hosted every single night from 5 to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And students are encouraged to join the Zoom session and work on their homework. So it is a place where you can get help, but you don't need to go to the homework night to get help. You can simply just join the homework night. It's nice and quiet, and you can just work on your homework during that time. And if you get stuck, you can ask one of the TAs for help, and they will be able to assist you. So don't feel like you have to go to the homework night with a question. You can always hang out there, and if you get stuck, then you can ask your question whenever you need it. And like I mentioned before, homework night Zoom link can be found in the courseware under the information tab. Now, the hint video and solution videos are a really useful tool for students to be able to make sure that they get full points. Oftentimes, there's just a small misunderstanding by the student on how to complete the problem. And the hint video is a way that they can clear up that misunderstanding and save them a lot of time from going down the wrong route. Now, make sure not to jump to the hint videos too soon. You really want to practice spending enough time to try and understand the problem yourself. Remember, if you're interested at all in competitions, you won't have hints or solutions to help you along the way. And the solution video will walk you through the code and show you how you can complete the problem as intended. Now, we also have a platform, Discourse, and in Discourse, this is basically a forum section where students can ask questions and either their classmates can answer, or we also have TAs who are dedicated to check for posts and answer and make sure students get the replies that they're looking for. So for this, it's student-to-student communication, and Discourse should be your priority when you have like any course-related questions. You can ask those and other students can answer, or TAs can answer. Additionally, you can also ask homework-related questions as well. Now, this is kind of a workflow diagram of how you should go about your homework. So after class, you have your homework, and if you have no clue how to start it, then you can always go to the hint video. Additionally, you can go back to the slides in class and see if you can make some connection from that. Now, if you failed a couple times and you don't really have the right idea or it's not quite working, you can then go to the solution video, which will be released after 2 days, or depending on the class, it might be slightly different, but our standard policy is about 2 days. And after the solution video, if you still are not quite understanding how the problem works or what's wrong with your submission, well, for our lower level classes, we have office hour that we offer where they can get the one-on-one TA debugging help. And for if you have a time conflict with that, or you're in a higher level class where we don't have such a need for the one-on-one help, well, we have the Discourse where you can ask questions always, and you'll get a reply within 24 hours. And then also you can just go to the homework night and also ask your questions there. Now, additionally, the student guidebook is a resource that can be used and should be used by students in order to make sure that they have all the information regarding how to access Discourse, how to do some other things like download test cases, or some of the rules and instructions, and some other helpful information. So just make sure that in your book, you see the student guidebook content, and there it will have all that information necessary for the students to understand, in case there's always some students who have some trouble logging into Discourse or things like that. Now, a really important role in terms of the class is our class coordinators. Now, our class coordinators are basically our way of following up with the students and sort of monitoring their progress and being that communication layer between the teacher and the parents. Now, there's sometimes a lot of communication or questions or things like that that parents could have, and our class coordinators are there to quickly assist you and make sure that you have all the information and all your questions are answered. And they're basically going to collect some requirements for students and parents and make sure everything is synced and we're all on the same page, and just provide a really great service for you. And then they'll also provide some other coding related information like seminars and contests and camps and other things like that. So hopefully this information was really helpful. If you have any further questions, feel free to reach out to your class coordinator or reach out to us here at XCamp in order to get those questions answered. I hope that you have a really great quarter. You enjoy our teaching, and we see you back again for the next quarter.
All right. Okay, so that's the end of the video. Again, can you guys hear me? I just switched the sound.
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, great. First, some introduction about myself. My name is Harry, and I have been a software engineer in the Bay Area for more than 20 years. So I also have been teaching in XCamp for more than 2 years. I'm mainly responsible for teaching 301, and I'm going to show you the syllabus of 301. So that's about me. And this class, as the video says, is mainly on Zoom. So if you are a new student to XCamp, there are some rules about the Zoom meetings, right? First of all, you have to show your face in a camera. And second thing is, please name your Zoom ID as your real name, like first name and last name, so that, because I'm going to take attendance during the class break. So if you use some other nickname or something, I will not be able to recognize you. All right, so please use your real name for your Zoom. And there will be a 10 minutes break in the middle of the class. It's not gonna happen exactly in the middle. So I will give you the break depending on the progress of the class. So somewhere around the middle. All right, so this is something we already talked about. So that I want to talk about the syllabus. So this is the page you should be already very familiar. And if you go to course content, click syllabus. So this is the syllabus about this class, right? So it's called Dynamic Programming Foundation and Divide and Conquer Strategy. So I'm gonna introduce you guys to dynamic programming. And the main strategy is divide and conquer, especially recursion. I'm going to, hopefully at the end of this class, you will be very proficient about how to solve problem, use divide and conquer, use recursion, and also what's the, in terms of implementation, how do you do it in, how do you have a iterative implementation instead of division, recursion. So this is the topics we're gonna cover. So we have 10 classes. All right, today will be an introduction. And then after today, for the next 2 weeks, we will have, we'll be focused on sequence problem, single sequence problem. And then another 2 weeks on double sequence problem when you have 2 sequences. So that is the first half of this quarter. After that, we will spend 1 week on some ad hoc topic. So we're going to talk about maze problem and weighted interval scheduling problem. All right, so after that, we're going to spend 3 weeks on, this is probably the most important topic of this quarter. We're going to talk about knapsack problems, the basics, and then we're going to spend 2 weeks on all kinds of variations of the basic knapsack problem. And the last week is about how do you use dynamic programming to solve some math problem, and specifically, how do you actually compute probabilities? All right. And the next class will be 302. I'm going to talk about this again towards the end of the quarter. So it's here is a brief overview. It's going to be entirely on tree, all the topics on tree. So for instance, what is the width, what is the depth, minimums, all kinds of routing algorithms, how do you find the minimum path in a tree, and also how to find, how to get the minimum spanning tree out of a general graph. So it's going to be entirely about tree, but I'm gonna go over this again towards the end of this class. All right. Let me see, actually, how do I, okay, so let me go back to the slides. Where is it? Okay. Okay, so you can find the class information. I'm going to talk about discourse. All right, so this is a very important resource. Right, the video covers all the resources we can help you do your homework. Homework is one of the most important things. You can't really learn without doing your homework. So I want to deliver this message to all the parents and also all the students, right? We have about 3 homework problems every week. And if you can't finish the problems before the due date is always going to be the beginning of the next class. If you can't finish it, we really encourage you to do it even after we talk about the homework problems in the class or after the solutions are released. So you should not just say, okay, now I have the solutions already, I'll just read it and looks like I understand, and then that's it. All right, so you should actually do something called up-solving. It's really try to solve the problem after, even after we talk about the solutions, right? You should still type the solutions and submit it, right? So this is very, very important. If you don't do the homework, if you don't do every homework, and also you're only gonna get like 60% of what this class can offer, right? So it's probably a big waste of your time and your money. So please do your homework. And so we have homework night, right? You can always go to the homework night, ask for help. There's something called discourse. I assume at this point, everyone knows how to log into discourse. If you don't know how to log into discourse, please ask your parents to contact the class coordinator. So she will help you to get into the discourse. So I want to show you what the discourse looks like. And let me share that. Okay, so this is 301 discourse, and if we just click one of the posts we have, so for instance this one, so you can see this student, he has some trouble with this homework. You can actually post your solution code and tell us what's wrong. And then this is me replying. So I almost always respond in 24 hours. If I don't respond, there's some other dedicated staff in XCamp who will respond. And a lot of times there are other students who can also help you. So this is like a forum that you can always come and ask for help. So I think a lot of times we see a lot of, so for instance, this is a student response, this is another student response. So if I read, I'll read your, as I said, I check this at least once every 24 hours, right? So if I see some response from either the students or other teacher in XCamp, if I see those response and I think you can make progress, then I will not respond. Otherwise, I will give you my response. Okay, so use this discourse as if you want to, you can actually post a code here, so I can actually help you debugging. All right, so this is discourse. And if you want to have like immediate response, like because here the turnaround time is maybe at the maximum will be 24 hours. If you need immediate response, immediate help, I would say you can go to the daily homework night, right? So there we also have teachers who can help you on your homework every day. Or you want some kind of interactive form of help, so could go to the homework night. All right. Okay, so this is discourse, homework help, and this is a protocol. And the first thing you should do is to visit the slides. We will publish slides at the end of every class, right? So, and then you can go to discourse or a homework night. All right, so that's all I want to see here. I want, at the end of this meeting, I want everybody to take 1 or 2 minutes to finish this survey, really to tell us what's your purpose. I used to do a roundtable introduction of this class, but we have a really big class. We have like almost 30 students, so I'm gonna skip that. Instead, I'm gonna post this link into the chat window. So please take 1 or 2 minutes to finish this survey, and then we can get started with the class. All right, so that's all. That's the end of the parent meeting. So I can take some questions, maybe 1 or 2 questions from the parents. Any question? Yeah, if you have questions, just turn on your microphone and speak. And also, I watch the chat window of Zoom during class. So if you want to say something to me or to the class, and you don't want to turn on your microphone and speak, you can always type. So I also respond to the message on the chat window. Okay, any question from the parents? All right, okay. If not, please go ahead and work on the survey. I'm gonna bring up the slides for the class.
Wait, what's student ID?
Oh, student ID is a string, something like XA something. So for instance, I can show you the roster for the class. So look, this column is all about student ID here. Yeah, so if you don't have student ID, please contact the class coordinator. She will definitely deliver, give you the student ID. You need the student ID to access the course homework and log into discourse. I think everything, all the resources need the XCamp student ID to log in. Yeah, also help. Thank you, Hansen. Okay, all right. So I assume you already finished the survey. If you haven't, you can always do it after the class. So let's get started with this lecture. It's gonna be an introduction to dynamic programming. Before I open the next slide, which is gonna show you the definition of dynamic programming, I want to do a very quick survey. 2 questions. Question 1, have you heard about dynamic programming? Question 2, do you know anything about it? All right, so please type, if you say, I heard about it, but I don't know anything, type Y and N. So that means yes to the first question, no to the second question. Okay, just type that in the chat window. Go ahead. Okay, wow. Looks like most of you heard about it. And actually, a lot of you guys know something about it. All right, that's great. I'm gonna pick the first response. So Ethan Lee, you said you know something about it. Can you just turn on your microphone and tell the class, what do you know about dynamic programming?
It's kind of like memoization or like memorization, so you don't have to do the same tasks over and over again. So it's more efficient than just a brute force approach. It's also kind of recursive in that sense.
Okay, well, that's great. That's all right. I want to try another one. So Harry, Sean,
Uh,
can you tell the class what do you know about dynamic programming? Right.
yeah, I think it's kind of a higher level, not higher level, or like a better way of doing recursion, because recursion takes a lot of time and memory.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you. Jasmine Lee. Oh no. Okay. Sorry. You said no. I want to take one more student. Let's see. All right. I'll just pick the last one. Oh, all right. Daniel He.
I don't know what dynamic programming is.
But you said you know something about it. You said Y and N and Y. Yeah, that's. Okay. All right.
Done it before, but I don't know what it is. I just searched it up.
Okay. Okay. All right. So, okay. So Ethan, you said you know a bit. Can you tell the class what do you
Yeah,
know?
so what I know about dynamic programming is that it allows us to if there's any expensive computations that in a normal brute force we'd have to do multiple times and they always end up with the same result, then we can just cache the result for us to use later. And then this can help us solve a lot of problems a lot faster because we don't have to recompute the same thing over and over again.
All right, great. So actually, I got what I wanted from both Ethans. So we have two Ethans, right? So yeah. All right. So let's look at the next slides. Okay, this is great. Usually when I teach this class, there were only like one or two students know anything about it, but looks like this class, like you guys, actually a lot of you guys know something about it already. Okay, so this is the formal definition of dynamic programming. So I'm gonna read the first sentence, and some of them might not make sense right now. Don't worry about it. I'm gonna get back to the definition. So dynamic programming is mainly an optimization for some types of recursion problems. Okay, so I highlight this is mainly, that means it's not entirely about this. It's a optimization for some types, not all of them, right? Recursion problems. What is it, right? So as Ethan said, so when they're repeated call, because recursion, we're gonna make recursive call to the same function with maybe different parameters, right? So when those calls might be repeated, right? What you do is you store the subproblem, you store the solutions, right? We call it subproblem, right? You store the solutions so that you don't have to make repeated call, right? You can avoid solving a subproblem multiple times, right? Because solving the same problem more than once is kind of a waste of your resource. Okay, so that's it, right? So that's actually what Ethan said, what Ethan said, and Ethan Lee said, right? So very surprising, right? I hope I don't disappoint you, right? So this is not really something, this is not really a a new data structure, a new fancy data structure you can learn, right? This is just the optimization technique. And it sounds very straightforward, right? What you do is, right, you say there are repeated call to some solve problems, and I don't want to make repeated call because it's a waste of time to do the same thing more than once. I just store it somewhere in your code, right? And then next time, so I can just reuse the result. All right, so that's it. All right, supply reasoning is very simple.
Except
big-
the thing is, each time you have to look through the storage in order to check if the solution is there.
Yes. Yes, that's right. So thank you, Jasmine. Yeah.
But
we
might
will
end up
talk.
using up time.
Yes. Okay. So that's actually a good point, right? So Jasmine, she brought up this issue, and she said, okay, yeah, you're gonna store the solution. You don't have to recompute it, but there's some overhead